It's Tuesday, June 16th. Welcome aboard to this edition of Barnstable Today. I'm Kevin Freeland. Just a reminder, the meetings we cover are available on demand at the town's website, www.town.barnstable.ma.us.
And I'm Andrew Goville. Thank you very much for joining us from Main Street here in Hyannis, right in front of the statue of Sachem Iano, who, according to Nathaniel Philbrook, actually met the Pilgrims back in 1620 and 1621 as they traveled through Cumberland. That's our history lesson for today. Another history lesson took place 2 weeks ago. The Barnstable Town Council dealt with a more than $150 million town budget. This week, the agenda doesn't call for a similar appropriation amount, but it does address some important needs for the town. Kevin had an opportunity to sit down with Assistant Town Manager Tom Lynch on Monday.
However, this week's council agenda, like many others, is full of items. Why don't we just jump right into some of this old business. The first, appropriation and transfer orders for the lighting the walkway to the sea. Can you tell us about the walkway and then about this appropriation?
Sure, and I would concur with you. This is a busy agenda. It's the first agenda that we haven't had the budget before us in some point in time. So we will be looking at various appropriations and other issues that are coming before us. This particular one is to use embarkation fees that we get through the Steamship Authority and others, where money comes into a separate fund for the town to be used for harbor improvements. And this is a suggestion by one of the councilors to extend the lighting that we see in the new Pleasant Street Park down in through Azleton. It's going to happen over here at the Walkway to the Sea from Main Street down to South Street, and then this will be for a continuation of that. So it's all in an attempt to keep developing the interest in having residents and tourists be able to move from Main Street down to the harbor to enjoy the activities down there.
Then we have a couple community preservation items. They're mainly administrative in their what they're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah. Annually, the Community Preservation Committee has to do a transfer of funds for both administrative costs and how they're going to pay for certain bonding and whatever. So there are 3 items on that do move monies around. There aren't any specific projects involved with this, but it does set aside money so they can continue their administrative activities.
And then we'll lump a couple of these together because they're all dealing with water in a certain way. However, the first one is a very large project in the Lake Wequaquet sewer collection expansion. Could you tell us about that project?
Well, all of the wastewater affects a lot of folks because these ordinances set aside funding that needs to be in place by June 30th so that we would then be positioned to be able to get grant money or loan money from the state revolving fund, what you'll hear referred to as the SRF fund. And so Mark Ells will be making a presentation on both the Wequaquet Lake area and the Stewart's Creek area to show design plans and that would need to be in place to help with the sewering for that area of town, both Wequaquet down through Finney's Lane and parts of Main Street, Centerville, and over at Stewart's Creek and Hyannis. Large sums of money. We're talking about $44 million with Wequaquet Lake area. We're talking about another 7 or 8 with Stewart's Creek. There's also money for a pump station and hooking up to the main system. It's part of the whole stimulus package where design and permitting and commitments have to be made by certain dates in order to be able to apply for the 0% or the 2% loans. So there have been notices that have gone out to all the residents who would be affected along the way. I happen to be one on Finney's Lane who got a card announcing that this would be happening on Thursday night, and so any citizens can either watch on TV or come down to testify, because were this to go through and were we to start this sewerage upgrade all the way through that area, then there would be betterment charges, and folks would eventually hook up to the sewer and move Title V or other septic systems.
Great, thanks, Tom. Another presentation that will go on just after Mark Ells will be from the Growth Management Department and the District of Critical Planning Concern. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what they're trying to accomplish?
Well, a lot has gone into this, so there'll clearly be a presentation of, and Joe and Mel Buntage village has kept, the interim director, has kept the council abreast of what's been happening with working with the residents on this District of Critical Planning Concern, or this DCPC. Here we're looking at changes to the village district. And so it's rather a lengthy ordinance. You'll note that most times it's 1 or 2 pages. This has 5 or 6, I believe, where they're talking about building heights and character of the village and what they're trying to accomplish through this. After that presentation, however, linked with this is also an ordinance that would allow for that village area to enter into regulatory agreements. And that would mean that we're, say, a commercial entity in that particular area want to expand or change use or whatever, that would go into a negotiated agreement, much like we do with the growth incentive zone here in Hyannis, which has proved to be very popular in terms of being able to take a project and get all the input of all the citizens and the regulatory boards before you have that issue of starting to go to get various permits. So that would be a big change for that particular area, and I believe a positive one.
Well, let's move now to some of the new business items that we'll see. Obviously, for those folks back at home, we'll see these come up again. This won't be the first or last time that they see them. First is from the Cape Cod Cooperative Extension in what they term land management money. Could you tell us about what they're trying to do?
Yes, for quite some time now, the county has tried to help towns, and we've been a beneficiary of this, of trying to make sure the conservation areas are clear, that the trails are well marked, but more that there's mowing and brush clearing, so that in the event of a forest fire or any sort of issue like that, that low underbrush wouldn't fuel and add fuel to the fire and cause it to get out of control more. So that's a nice $10,000 grant that will help over in that West Barnstable area.
Well, that brings us to the end of June 18th's agenda. But Tom, could you give us your kind of final thoughts on the budget cycle this year?
It was a very difficult budget, as I'm sure anyone who followed the whole process knows. But what we've done is since the passage of the budget, we certainly thank the council and all the citizens who called in with questions. We've met again with staff to look at our process and say, are there ways we can improve it? Are there ways we can be even more transparent than we were trying to get information out to individuals who be affected by the budget? So we've done that and feel that there are some improvements that we'll put in next year internally to help us with the development of the budget. Unfortunately, and as recently as Friday, we had a meeting with some senatorial aides from Senator Murray's office and Senator O'Leary's office, just talking about 2011. So 2010 goes into effect July 1st, and we're already looking toward next July 1st. But they don't see a let-up. They still see decreased revenues, and we think 2010 could also be a very difficult budgetary year. So we're not trying to be pessimistic, just realistic about the challenges of living within our means financially.
Again, Assistant Town Manager Tom Lynch with Kevin Friel.
On the meeting front this week, we have the Airport Commission meeting at the airport at 6 o'clock.
The Barnstable Historic Commission meets at 6:30 in the School Administration Building.
Then the Conservation Commission gets underway at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room.
Shellfish Committee meets at 7:30 in the conference room at the office on Finney's Lane.
On Wednesday, June 17th, the Accessory Affordable Apartment Program starts at 6 p.m. in the Town Hall hearing room.
The Zoning Board of Appeals at 7 o'clock in the Town Hall hearing room.
Then Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission meets at 7 o'clock in the Selectmen's Conference Room.
And then, as mentioned by Assistant Town Manager Tom Lynch and Kevin Friel, the Town Council meets on Thursday at 7 o'clock in the Town Hall hearing room. For Kevin Friel, I'm Andrew Goviel. Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Barnstable Today.